gel CA glue, and then that will.
The thicker glue, you could use that also. You know, that's the gap filling. I have never used that on a glue block, but it has. I shouldn't say that. I have used it on very small items. I haven't used it on the bigger stuff. The CA glue, I think lately it used to get very brittle. The CA glue, I used to put my lids on, you know, the little finials and stuff with the CA glue, and you get a big temperature change, and I'd be going somewhere in the wintertime, and I'd hear, bink, what the hell's that? I take the piece out, covers off. So the CA glue is good in a lot of aspects, but now I've heard that they've made it a little bit more elastic, but I'm really not sure how well it works since I haven't used it. For anything that I want to stay on long term, I'm going to use the CA glue. I will start with what I do with the stave bowl construction. That's the okay, we'll take a piece like this. I generally just do 8-sided figures. I got comfortable with that. I can go as big as I really want with that. You can go 10 or 12, and the angles are a little different. But when you have the stave bowl, now if you put this piece together and you have a little flat sides, that's where the chuck comes in now. What I'll do is I'll take the points of the flat sides when they come to a point. I'll just hit them on the sand them a little bit, and I'll open these jaws up, and I can grab this piece right on the outside like this. Well, actually, I'm grabbing it on this side, and then I'm gonna take and shape this bottom shape a little bit, and I'm gonna turn a tenon on the bottom, this is basically what we're talking about when it's glued up. And I'll take and I'll sand these high points, and then I can grab the chuck, and the chuck will grab it, because if you grab a high point and a low point, it's going to be out of round a little bit. So you want to try to grab it at the lowest point. You want to sand these points down to the flat side, so that when you grab it in the chuck, it's going to be as true as you can get it. It's going to wobble a little bit. Again, then I just take and I shape the bottom, because once I put it in the jaws, I can't get too close on the side of it. So I'll pretty much shape the bottom, and I'll turn the tenon. When I turn the tenon on the bottom, after that, then I take it out of the outside jaw. I turn the jaws around, and I'm going to grab it on the inside like this. And now I'm grabbing it on the tenon, and now I'm turning it this way. Now I have this as pretty well shaped here, so I don't come in conflict with the jaws. And then I pretty much basically shape the whole thing, outside, inside, and I can go all the way into the inside and pretty much finish the whole piece. And then if I'm going to have a tenon for my lid or whatever I'm going to have, I'll turn that on here and decide what I'm going to have the lid. I'll take my calipers and measure what I need for the bottom and measure what I need for the lid for the top, and turn those separately and then fit them in. And when I have the stave, depending on the wood you're working with, if I have something like this that's doesn't have an apparent grain to it, you're better off cutting it long ways and don't use the end grain. When I have a piece like this that I want to use the grain and have that piece, the grain run all the way around the piece, you have to cut each piece and use the end grain. Not the best way to glue things up, but it's the best way to get this effect. Have I had some problems with gluing end grain? Yes. Over time, this is all cured lumber, but it depends what it is in my basement. Summertime, wintertime, humidity changes. I've had pieces where they do move. In other words, I could have a piece that's 8 years old and you run your hands around the side of it. I can feel an edge here. I don't feel anything over here. So the pieces sometimes do move. And I've had them where, I guess, if the moisture content was too high and they shrunk, pieces have let go. So if you have the option of turning it, don't use the end grain. In other words, if you're taking a piece of zebra wood, and the zebra wood, I would want to use the grain going all the way around. So you'd have to, I'd be cutting my blocks like this. I number each piece, so you don't misorient the grain. I number each piece, 1 through 8, and I have a line for 8 things, and I cut them square on a saw, a radial arm saw or whatever. And then I cut the angle on each specific piece. I made up a fixture that goes into a table saw that I set my angle at 22.5 degrees for an 8-sided figure, and it's impossible to get it exactly right, and they have to be exactly right. So when I finish, each piece is cut at an angle, and I take and I dry fit it like this. You know, put the pieces all together, numbered the way they're supposed to be numbered, and then I take and I hold it up to the light. If I can see light through the joint, I glue the clamp, I mark each piece, I put it on a belt sander, and I sand the piece, put it back together again. And I just keep fitting the pieces till you have a good fit all the way around. Once in a while you get lucky and they come off the table saw and they're just right. But with the exotic woods there, the stuff is so hard, if you try to go through a little bit faster, even if you have it in a fixture, the wood, you know, kind of wants to raise up a little bit. It just has to raise the fraction of an inch to start that angle off. But again, if you have the option to cut the piece and use the side grain instead of the end grain, you're better off. But if you want this effect, you have no other choice, but you have to do it that way. I've done it both ways. This is the zebra wood with the grain going up and down. And again, you get a great effect because you really can't see the seams where they're put together. You could definitely see the seams where that's put together, but it's a totally different look. So it all depends, you know, what you want to do. And when you have this type of wood, and it's really, this is just roughly sanded. When you polish this up piece of bloodwood, it's pretty dramatic. It's very, very red, but it's just a bloodwood, a piece of wood. And again, it's all depends what you're looking for. But I will contrast, you know, the same as I contrasted this yellow bloodwood. I contrasted with pieces of ebony. Now this piece here is done in '91, and it's held pretty good. You can feel, I would pass these around, but the last time, wasn't the last time, one time I did a demonstration, one of the guys dropped one of the pieces and it was gone after that. These type of things here, if you want, you can pass that around. I have certain things I will pass around, but not the finished pieces I'm not going to pass around. Again, you contrast them with a piece of wood. You don't have to change the angle or anything, but if you have a specific size that you want, your piece is going to grow a little bit. I'm never that critical whether the piece is 4 1/2, 4 5/8, 5 inches. Generally, if I'm looking for 5 inches, 6 inches, if I stay within a half an inch, you know, that's fine with me. But when you have a wood that's very bland in color, you know, dramatic in color, but very bland. Picture this piece just by itself, you know, would be all right. But when you have a contrasting piece, it really makes the piece stand out.
So every one of these pieces, you've got to cut a plug for the bottom.
A bottom, you have to make a bottom for it.
That would be the flat piece.
Yeah, well, again, I'll take the lid and the bottoms and I'll turn them in the draw chuck. You know, first I'll grab the piece on the outside. You know, I'll cut it on a bandsaw as round as I can get it. I'll grab it, you know, on the jaws, and I'll put it in here and grab it, and then I'll turn a tenon on the inside, then turn the piece around and bring the jaws in and grab it on the inside, and now you can turn the whole piece. So, you know, some people don't like the idea that you see a little tenon on the bottom of the piece. You know, that's